Somehow, unintentionally, I'm wearing this shirt every time I do a book video. Hello! Welcome to today's video. We're doing a recap of what I read in July. One of my favorite book videos to make a month, obviously. I read so much this month. Literally every month consecutively this summer, I've been like, this is my record of reading. This is my record of amount of books in a month. I read 13 books this month. 13! Hello? I'm really impressed with myself. I read some incredible books this month. Also, July has felt like the longest month ever. I don't know if anyone else relates to this. I've like talked to a lot of people about this, but literally July felt like ages. So I'm going to do my best to show you this stack. Booktubers, teach me your ways, because I feel like every time I try to show this entire stack it falls. This is all I read this month. Absolutely insane. We have 13 books. Look at this. Look at this. Isn't this crazy? I'm so happy. I literally had such a fun month in terms of reading this month. We're just gonna go from top down. It's not necessarily in consecutive order, it's kind of in size order, but the first book up is the Tamora Pierce last book of the Protector of the Small series. This honestly was one of my favorite books of the series. It's kind of hard to talk about it standalone because they also meld together in my brain because I read like all 4 of them in like 2 weeks. But this one is about Caladri, sorry, the main character of the book, becoming a knight, and she is in like a war and she has to run a refugee camp, and it's just about her like trials and tribulations with that, kind of like coping with how like her knightship isn't going the way she really wanted it to, and then she kind of is like led down this path of saving basically the entire continent. So really incredible. I say this in every video because almost every month I read a Tamora Pierce book. Tamora Pierce's writing is absolutely phenomenal, and I highly recommend a Tamora Pierce book. Any of them if you haven't read them already. They're really cheap to find on thrift books and exquisite. Like, they're so comfortable and cozy and incredible. I can't recommend her enough. So kind of switching in terms of like comfort and all of that, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is a book I've been wanting to read for absolutely forever. This is an old copy, so it's not like the new edited cover that a lot of people have. I believe, when did this one come out? Yeah, okay, so this came out in the 80s. I honestly love it. These types of books are great for fitting in my bag for like when I'm going to work or just like going out and I just want a small book to put in my bag, but I did end up finishing this at home because I could not wait. I absolutely loved this book. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's heavy, but it's unlike any other book I've read from like written in this time period, like post-abolition. It's about a queer woman growing into her identity and coping with that and falling in love with Shug and just her journey with that and her growing into herself. Truly an absolutely incredible book. I can't even begin to describe how much I love this book. Again, I want to read it again. I think I want to do a video where I reread some of my most recent favorite books, like The Great Gatsby, this book, a couple others, just because I feel like in order to really grasp what hit me so hard about those books, I need to go back through it and look through it again. So I definitely want to do a video on that in the future, but if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. Another book I got for cheap on thrift books, so if you're just looking for a cheap and easy copy, thrift books is your best friend. Okay, switching gears again, I swear, I'm jumping everywhere this month. Shit Cassandra saw. I did not like this as much as I was expecting to like it, but I really did enjoy it. I read this in like 2 days. It was a very quick and easy read. I was looking for something that's like kind of like Sarah Land, which I've read, or Her Body and Other Parties. Her Body and Other Parties is by far the best and my most favorite short essay book I've ever read, and I'm constantly searching for books like that, so if you have recommendations. I did really enjoy this book. It wasn't as hard-hitting as Her Body and Other Parties were, and I don't want to like compare the two, but that is kind of what I was hoping for. Really easy, kind of funny, really wacky, and I loved it. It was a great book, a very easy book to read, and I did enjoy it. I do think it was worth it, and this cover is awesome. Next up is Piranesi. I heard incredible things about this book. It's basically about this guy that is living in these great halls, and he is basically one of the only people alive in there, and he thinks he's at like the beginning of the world basically, and he is alone except for this man called the Other, and the book takes a wild turn. I can't really go much further in detail because I don't want to spoil it, but it was not at all what I was expecting. Again, another book I would like to reread because it just absolutely threw me for a loop because I was not expecting this at all. I was kind of going into it like expecting kind of like a Greek mythology book, which this is not really. It kind of like goes into modern day and it's just absolutely insane. Very weird, very random. Not at all what I expected, but I do think it's an enjoyable read, another really quick read. I got this on sale for $10, so that's pretty dope. I love damaged copies of books. I don't care, give me them for cheap. But that is, what, the 4th book so far? Next up, I actually finished this like the beginning of July, Painting Time. This book I was so excited to read. I actually think I got this when I got Piranesi, but I was so excited to read this book. I like found it in a stack. I was literally talking about how I wanted to read a book about like a visual artist. It was good for like the first like 120 pages. It is a short book. It's like 230 pages, and it absolutely lost it in like the second half of the book. Like it just dissolved into I don't even know what. I do think that was kind of intentional, but I really didn't enjoy it. It's basically about an artist who is kind of finding her footing in the art world, and she goes into replicating things like wood and marble. So she's kind of like a copyist, like she doesn't do really creative arts. Well, I mean, there's an argument that it is creative that I understand, but she is just kind of like grasping that world, and then like she just kind of like goes on some wild adventures and kind of loses herself in some people, and I don't know how to describe it because it kind of falls apart. But if you're looking for like something that is very eclectic and out of the normal like writing and out of normal mentality, I think it's a really interesting read. I just don't like how much it fell apart in the second half because it really had me in the first half. I do want to read other books about like artists, not necessarily like realist like history books, but just fiction books, because I think that's something I don't see represented in a lot of the stuff I read. So if you have recommendations, let me know. Next up, we have Tell Everybody on This Train I Love Them. Picked this up when I got Shit Cassandra Saw, and I randomly happened upon it in the bookstore, and honestly I loved the cover, and then I saw it was a short essays book. It's like, yes, this is what I want. So I read the first 2 stories. They were lighthearted, and I was like, oh, this might not be what I was expecting. I just didn't understand the author's voice, but as we kept on going, I fell in love with it. Like, she just was so well researched in the stuff she talked about. She's an Irish immigrant that came to America, and it's about her like grappling with the impact America has and her privilege of being an immigrant in America, a white immigrant in America, and the juxtaposition of like how that's not the case for everybody. And it was just a really incredible book. I really enjoyed it. So impactful and just covered so many things, and again, I want to reread it. But I highly recommend this. It's not a light read. It's not what I expected, but I do think it is a really interesting perspective, and I really loved it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Next up, Everyone's an aliebn when you're an alien too. Or Everyone's an aliebn when you're an aliebn too, by Jomny Sun. Jomny Sun is a graphic designer, artist, writer, and I happened upon this in a streamer's like stream, and I can't even put into words how much I love this book. It's basically an art book, like really cute illustrations, and it gets very existential and like really spiritual and just so incredible. I love this book with all my heart. Like, the illustrations are incredible, the writing's incredible, the message is incredible. Highly recommend it. It's absolutely incredible. I like don't know what to call it, like what to say. Basically, this alien goes to Earth and is trying to find humans, but instead of finding humans, he finds a bunch of animals and thinks they're humans because he doesn't understand that they're not humans. And it's just like about like different types of people you'll meet and different experiences and different perspectives, and it's just so profound, which is not something you would expect with like the funny images and the funny dialogue. But I like cannot encourage you enough to read this book. It took me like half an hour. I sat on the stairs with my sister and we like read it out loud and did voices, and it was just absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. Gosh, I'm like looking through this pile and I don't know how I read all of these books in 1 month. This month has been an eternity long. Are you kidding me? Next up is Book Lovers. Book Lovers is the second book I've read by Emily Henry. The first one was Beach Read, and I'm reading People We Meet on Vacation soon. But honestly, I really enjoyed this book. First, when I read it, I thought I liked Beach Read more, but now I think they're like equal tiers. I really enjoyed this one. It's basically about a woman who lives in New York City, which, you know, and then she ends up going on this trip with her sister because she's worried she's like losing touch with her sister, and she ends up meeting this man, of course, and they fall in love, and it's actually like really complicated. Like, it's not like a happily ever after, and I think it is a more complex relationship dynamic than Beach Read. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great book. I love Emily Henry's writing. She's absolutely worth the hype. And I liked this one because it was like more focused on books. Obviously the other one she was an author, but this one there's a bookstore and he works at a bookstore and they're trying to save this bookstore. I highly recommend it. Give it a shot if you haven't. I would be surprised if you haven't already though. Next up is the skyward series. I got these two for free at a flea market. This is the first one. It's basically about this girl living on an alien planet, or basically in like the past they crash on this planet because they were like kicked out of where they lived, and she's coming to discover like the truth of where she lives and what is happening to her and her society, and she has these powers that she's coming into. I loved it. I liked Skyward more than Starsight. Starsight I thought was a little slow paced, maybe because there wasn't a lot of like other interactions. It was kind of her and Mbot and no one else really until like only a few characters. There were more characters in this one and it was a little more like personal. I loved it. I really enjoyed this series. I still have to get the third one. I haven't read it and I believe it's still ongoing, but Brandon Sanderson is an incredible writer. This is a really good sci-fi book. I really enjoyed it. It's unlike anything I ever read before in terms of like it is based on around pilots, and they're like piloting these spaceships, and it's just and like fighter jets, and it's just a really like interesting imagination and like things I had to imagine that I've never really imagined before, and it was really fun and I really enjoyed it and I recommend it. Okay, we're dwindling down. Next up is The City We Became by N K Jemisin. I actually have another N K Jemisin book in my stack, but this one was amazing. I've read a lot of like New York City located books this month, but again, this one takes place in New York City. It's basically about the 5 boroughs of New York City and one more personifying and coming into beings, and they're trying to protect their city from an alien life form that is trying to take over their city and basically like gentrify it, but like not actually. There's lots of metaphors in this book and I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It's definitely not like my favorite thing ever, but I really enjoyed it, and I just loved the personifications of the boroughs and just the representation and like the obvious care for like representing like diverse communities, because that's what New York City is, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I understand the hype for it, and N K Jemisin is a beautiful writer. I love the way she world builds and kind of presents characters, and I think she's really descriptive but not overly descriptive. I really enjoyed this book. It was very fun and the cover is really cool, and again I got this book on sale for $10, so okay. We're saving one of the best for last, but up second to last is The Lost Apothecary. I got this book at a little free library, which I'm very grateful I did. I got a hardcover copy. I'm actually returning it to the little free library, and that is because I did not enjoy it at all. I really thought it was lacking like what I wanted from a book about an apothecary from the 1700s. I don't think it was well written. I think it was like really stream of consciousness, and I don't think it was well illustrated or formatted. I think there was a lot more to be expected from a book like this, and the foreshadowing was really poor. There really wasn't foreshadowing. I don't know, I just found it to be too simplistic and not like from the heart, if that makes sense. I didn't enjoy it, but you might, and that is totally fair, but it was not something that I enjoyed. It is a really quick read though, so I like kept going. It wasn't like so bad that I wanted to DNF it, but it was not like my cup of tea. So this is going back to the little free library, so another person can maybe enjoy it. I kind of understand why they put it in there. And last but not least, the most talked about book I think I've ever heard of right now, Heartstopper. Oh my gosh, I absolutely understand the hype for this book. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I need to get the other volumes like right now. So we got this at a bookstore in DC and I read it in a day, like in an hour, and my sister was like in the room with me for some of it and I was literally like audibly gasping and like making sound effects because this book is absolutely adorable. If you have not somehow read the Heartstopper series yet, please do. Please do. I still haven't watched the show yet because I want to read all the volumes first, but oh my god, I can't even begin to describe how much I love this book. This, like, it is so incredible, and I think it's so amazing that like younger generations are gonna grow up with something as impactful and representative as this book, because I don't know, this reminds me of like kids' obsessions with the graphic design novels like when we were younger, but they were like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or, and no shade, but like this, like queer representation, queer love, and like a coming of age story. Absolutely incredible. It makes my like inner child happy. It makes me happy. Like, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. It's so beautifully illustrated and so beautifully written, and I'm literally gonna read it again soon because I have to. I loved it so much. Wow, I talked for almost 20 minutes. Okay, I think that's impressive for the amount of books I read this month. I had a great month of reading. I'm not sure I can match it this month, but that is okay. I actually hit my reading goal for the year. My goal was 50 books and I'm actually currently at 54 books, which is so amazing. So we are just starting August and I've already completed my goal, which is really cool. I got some new books. Yeah, remember when I said I was on a book buying ban? That never lasts. One of them being Caraval. I'm so excited to read this. I've heard so many amazing things about it and it's such a beautiful cover. I got this at Target and I'm very excited to read it, but I'm trying to get through as much of this stack as I can before I move because I don't want to bring a ton of books with me, but I also don't want to like fuel my book addiction by buying more or too many more. I don't know. I have to figure it out. And then I did get 2 other books. Got 2 witchcraft books. So this one is gorgeous and I'm currently reading it. It's just about green witchcraft and a bunch of like cool information, and then this one as well. My dad got this one for me and I'm just so excited to read these. I'm actually probably gonna carve out some time in my day today to do a little like research and studying on this stuff, but I'm so excited. I feel like this is just such a obvious statement, but books mean the world to me and I'm so grateful to have this outlet of media to consume and enjoy, and I appreciate you guys taking interest in what I do and what I read, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love making book videos and love reading, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you want to read for August. I appreciate you all so much. Make sure to take care of yourselves, and I'll see y'all very soon. Bye!